In the winter of 1942, the Canastota High School wrestling team gathered for its annual yearbook photograph. Among the wrestlers were J. Edward Eddie LeBlanc and one of his brothers. At the time, no one could have known this photograph would become the earliest known image of a wrestling tradition that would span 4 generations. The LeBlanc story, however, began long before the wrestling mat. The family's roots trace to the Acadian settlements of present-day Nova Scotia. Following the expulsion of the Acadians in 1755, generations of LeBlanc descendants rebuilt their lives across Atlantic Canada. By the time this photograph was taken in 1942, the LeBlanc family had already experienced generations of displacement, migration, military service, and renewal. Wrestling would become one more chapter in that history, not simply as a sport, but as a tradition passed from one generation to the next. Before he became the patriarch of a wrestling family, J. Edward LeBlanc left Canastota to serve with the United States Marine Corps during the Second World War. When he returned home, he built a family whose influence on wrestling would extend far beyond a single school or a single generation.
When the LeBlanc family came to New York, life was never easy. They were outsiders, they were mocked, and reminded they didn't belong. That generation was given no quarter. So the LeBlanc brothers learned to give no quarter. Every challenge became another reason to stand taller, work harder, and never back down. One generation inspired the next. Brothers became coaches. Sons became champions. Grandsons carried the family name onto new mats. Today, 4 generations have carried that same spirit forward. Not just victories, but perseverance, discipline, and family. The story isn't over. The next chapter is waiting, and the LeBlanc legacy continues.
In 1972, a 10-year-old Dwayne LeBlanc stepped onto a wrestling mat for the first time. It was the start of something special. He followed his uncles and brothers into the sport at Canastota High School, turning a family tradition into a lifelong mission. From those early matches, it was clear that Dwayne wasn't just a competitor, he was a student of the game. His journey took him across New York, from Buffalo to Oneonta, Binghamton to Red Hook. Everywhere he went, Dwayne didn't just move, he built. He understood that the future of wrestling lived in the youth. He founded programs and volunteered his time to mentor the next generation. For decades, he gave his time freely, driven by a deep love for the sport and the communities he served. Eventually, his path led him to Morrisville Eaton, where he would lead the program for 16 remarkable years. As a varsity coach, he was more than a strategist. He was a mentor who demanded excellence and modeled integrity. The results were historic. Under his leadership, athletes earned 102 place finishes and 22 class championships. But most impressively, he produced 11 Section 3 champions and 3 individual state champions. These trophies represent the hard work and collective spirit of the teams Dwayne helped shape. But the real legacy isn't measured in gold medals. It's found in the character and resilience instilled in every young man he coached. Dwayne LeBlanc gave 40 years to the sport that gave him everything. He remains a pillar of the New York wrestling community. Today, we celebrate a legend who proved that a life in wrestling is about building a community that lasts a lifetime. Thank you, Coach, for the wins, the lessons, and the legacy. It started when he was 5 years old in Section 4. From Red Hook to Morrisville Eaton, Trevor LeBlanc didn't just compete, he dominated, racking up 227 wins and becoming an All-American at Cortland State. But his greatest legacy wasn't written on his own stat sheet. It began in the coach's corner at JD/CBA in Salem, Cambridge, turning programs around and coaching 16 state representatives to the podium. From the first whistle in youth wrestling to the Section 2 titles of today, Trevor LeBlanc has spent a lifetime defining what it means to lead on the mat. Paul LeBlanc didn't just wrestle, he dominated. From his first match at age 5 to a high school career that ended with a staggering 201-22 record, Paul was a force in Section 3. His senior year was the stuff of legend, undefeated, winning all sectional matches by pin or technical fall, spending a total of just 5 minutes on the mat during the entire tournament. That momentum carried him to Cortland State, where he broke school records with 128 wins and earned All-American honors 3 times. But the true measure of his impact came after the headgear was put away. Transitioning from a record-breaking athlete to a graduate assistant and then a high school coach, Paul has spent over a decade guiding 17 sectional champions and 10 state place finishers. Today at Jamesville DeWitt, the man who once ruled the mat now shapes the champions of tomorrow.
Ryan LeBlanc didn't just walk onto the mat, he owned it. From 200 high school wins to the Big Ten Medal of Honor at Indiana, the foundation was built on relentless work. But the real story started when he stepped off the mat and into the corner, transitioning from a competitor to a mentor. At Cortland, at App State, and now at the Citadel, he's turned potential into hardware, leading teams to championships, producing All-Americans, and redefining excellence, proving that the heart of a wrestler never stops beating. It just finds new ways to win. Now that heart brings its fire back to the Empire State.